Hello, it's Sarah from the Child and Family Centres across Huntingdonshire. I hope you are well. I've popped on to read you one of my favourite stories by one of our favourite authors, and I'm not going to tell you which one it is. I'm going to see if you can guess just from the clues behind me. I have an array of lovely books that we like to read in the centres, and I have a few little characters from the story as well, so you might be able to guess without me telling you what the story is. So I'm wearing a clue and I am showing you some clues. So let's see how clever you are, see how you can work it out. Okay, our first clue is in this story, there is a little family of mice. Eek, 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 eek. So there is mice in the story. Can you see something behind me with a very, very long neck? That's right, there is a giraffe in the story too. Okay, let me see. You see, there is a dog in the story. There's also a goat in the story. Have you guessed what it is yet? Have you had a look behind to see which book it could possibly be? Could it be It's a Little Baby? Not sure there's any foxes in that one. Could it be Dinosaur Roar? No, I think you're right, no dinosaurs. Oh, we have got another clue. This might help. We have a fox in the story. Hello, Mr. Fox. Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox likes helping with stories. So that's another big clue. So what do you think? Oh, Fox's socks. It could be Fox's socks because there is a fox there and there is a mouse there. But is there a giraffe in there? I don't think so. Let me see. Oh, another clue. I'm wearing another clue. There is a very, very smart tie in this story too. I think that's quite a big clue. Have you worked out what it could be? I think you have. You're right. We are going to read The Smartest Giant in Town. One of our favourite stories. It's by Julia Donaldson and Alex Scheffler. This is our Macmillan book. We've got lots of Macmillan books because they're such beautifully illustrated stories. So we're going to read The Smartest Giant in Town. So you need to be sitting comfortably. You need to be nice and calm. You need to get all your wiggles and giggles out. Are they all gone? Fantastic. You need to put your listening ears on. Click. And you need your looking eyes. Can I see your looking eyes? Fantastic. We are ready for our story. The Smartest Giant in Town. George was a giant. The scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals and the same old patched up gown. I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said sadly. But one day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes, so he bought... Let me see. Shall we have a look in George's bag and see what he found? Okay. He found... Give you a little reminder. Okay, you got it? Remembered? A smart shirt. Can you remember what else from the book? A smart pair of trousers. Yes, they are in the bag as well. Oh, a smart belt. That's in the bag. Let me see what else. Oh, a smart stripy tie. Just like this one. Very smart looking. And some smart socks with diamonds up the side. We've got some smart socks. Oh, with diamonds up the side. Very nice. And a pair of smart shiny shoes. Just like that. Very smart. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said proudly. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. What's the matter? asked George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so very long and so very cold. I wish I had a long warm scarf." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his stripy tie. "It didn't match my socks anyway," he said, and he wound it round and round the giraffe's neck. It made a wonderful scarf. "Thank you," said the giraffe. As George strode home, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sail," said the goat. "It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his new white shirt. This one here, this very smart white shirt. "It kept coming untucked anyway," he said, as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. "It made a magnificent sail." "Thank you," said the goat. George strode on singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's our house," squeaked the mother mouse. "It burned down and now we have nowhere to live. I wish we had a nice new house." Poor little mice. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. "It was giving me blisters anyway," he said, as the mouse and her baby scrambled inside. Oh! The shoe made a perfect home for them. "Thank you," they squeaked. That was kind of George, wasn't it? George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox who was crying. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. "I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag." "Oh dear." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his socks with diamonds up the side. "One of these?" "It was tickling my toes anyway," he said, as the fox snuggled into it. "It made a very fine sleeping bag." "Thank you," said the fox. I'm not sure this fox is going to fit into this sock. Shall we see? Oh! 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 Wow, that's a very fine sleeping bag for a fox. Is it nice? I think Fox likes his new sleeping bag. Thank you, smartest giant. George hopped on singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of my socks is a bed for a fox, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a big squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. "What's the matter?" "It's this bog," said the dog. "I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a safe, dry path." I wonder what George is going to do now. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his smart new belt. "It was squashing my tummy anyway," he said, as he laid it over the bog. "It made an excellent path." "Thank you," said the dog. That was very kind, wasn't it? So the dog walked across the belt. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on singing to himself, My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of my socks is a bed for a fox, my belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog, but my trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town. Suddenly, George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'll have to go back to the shop and buy some more clothes, he decided. He turned round and hopped all the way back to the shop. Poor George. He was trying to be so helpful. But when he got there, it was closed. Oh no, said George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals he had met on his way home. Then, out the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar sticking out of the top. This bag, maybe? George took a closer look. My gown! He yelled. My dear old gown and sandals. George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. I'm the cosiest giant in town, he cried, and he danced back home along the road. Outside his front door stood all the animals he had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. Come on, George, they said. Open it. George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and a card. Look inside the card, George, said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Inside it said, You gave your scarf to a cold giraffe, your shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, your shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of your socks is a bed for a fox, your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog, so here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town. Isn't that lovely? He helped all those animals and they wanted to show that they really appreciated his help. I'm glad he got his clothes back in the end. He must have been very cold. I hope you enjoyed that story. See you again soon. Good night.